Okay, sit down, take a seat, and let's talk about Historia. My feelings for Attack on Titan are complicated, like they are for so many people that have watched the show. I have not read the manga, and also, I haven't finished Attack on Titan. Hold on, hold on. Put away your pitchforks, because this video is not about Attack on Titan. It is about Historia Rising, and why I personally think that she was the most wasted character in Attack on Titan. I have watched far enough that I don't feel like I will gain anything out of watching the end of Attack on Titan to make this fully opinionated character analysis any more complete. Of course, because I haven't read the manga, I'm only going to be talking about the anime, and so minor content, bonus chapters, light novels, it's not going to apply here. I know what happens because the Attack on Titan community, well, Jujutsu Kaisen is worse now, but when the ending dropped, there was just no escaping the spoilers. You could be doing something random and you would see an Attack on Titan spoiler. Like, I was searching posts for a completely unrelated topic, and because manga readers are so determined to spoil, they love spoiling so much, there was just this random comment spoiling the ending for a completely unrelated topic that had nothing to do with Attack on Titan. I don't even think it had anything to do with anime, and I got hard spoiled. For what? Existing? I'm still mad about it, as you can see. For a female character, Historia Rising has probably one of the best character arcs in shonen, and I feel pretty confident saying that, having watched a lot of shonen. I'm not gonna speak for seinen, because I can't. I don't read seinen. I don't read manga in general, usually. Only in really dire straits will you get me to read manga. The things that are wrong with Historia for me, and this is basically spoiling the entire first 3 seasons and part 1 and maybe part 2 of season 4. I don't mind that Historia got pregnant. I don't care that she got pregnant by a farmer. I don't care who the father is. I don't care if the father was Onyankopon. I don't care. I also don't think that, well, the tragic ending of Ymir and Historia, I mind that it was off screen. The first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan are honestly something else. Something I've never seen and something I don't think I will see or experience again, and I wish I could experience it again for the first time. But Ymir's character arc is on par with Historia's. It's only slightly better for me because it ends when it's still good. I just feel like seeing Ymir return to that place that turned into a Titan, that place where she stuck her neck out for these people, and what was her reward for it? Being a Titan for how many years? No one remembers her. No one remembers her sacrifice. So she has to return to this place, willingly return to this place that she's been running from. Not running from, more hiding from than anything. And we get nothing. Nothing but the scene of her dying. I don't think the final hour-long episode, which I haven't seen. I have seen parts 1, 2, and 3, I think, but I haven't seen the final part. I don't think an hour-long episode, with how much they would have to cram in there, you can't tell me that there's time. If Isayama did that, there is a 87% chance that I'm not saying his name right, so I'm not going to say it again. It would tie back into Historia, because Ymir would have to reflect on Historia at least one final time, instead of getting it through. I mean, the letter was nice, but this is not a Ymir video. This is a Historia Rising video. My problem is not with the first 3 parts. My problem is Historia's character after the time skip. Historia before the time skip. In season 1, she seems like a nobody, an extra, a background character. I don't think anyone paid attention to her. On rewatch, you literally cannot rewatch Attack on Titan the same way you did the first time when you were ignorant to everything. Because you see all these little clues that the animators left for you. You see everything, all these little breadcrumbs leading up to the bigger story. And on rewatch, Attack on Titan is actually better, but also worse because I do wish I could have that ignorance again, to experience the spectacle for the first time, even though I understand the story on a deeper level now. But then in season 2, it's kind of revealed that her fake name, Krista, is a fake name. She's actually Historia Rising, a descendant of the Founder King. The one who created the walls, the one who erased the people's memories, the one who brought them to the island. And she goes through this whole character arc of becoming more confident in herself. She gets taken by her father, and she kind of goes through this thing because she's never had family before, at least not true family. Well, her sister. Her sister has made her forget, and she basically lived as an orphan her whole life, and now she finally has family. So it makes sense that she would cling to her dad so hard. But then at the end, she basically grows a backbone. She stops taking everyone's basically. She stops letting people walk all over her, including her father. She refuses to take the serum, and she refuses to eat Eren and let the Founder King's consciousness inhabit her body and basically take over. She knocks the serum out of his hand. It lands on the floor. It's like her father just gives up. He just licks the serum off the floor, knowing he would turn himself into the Titan. I think he says something about joining his brother, so he intends to die. And I need to explain this character arc to explain the downfall. Historia becomes this confident character. She joins the scouts in hunting her father because her father becomes this mutinous Titan because of the way her father ingested the spinal fluid. He did it wrong. He follows the heat source from the building that they were in, which is beyond the walls because of all the people there. So he follows that heat source, and the scouts are following him. And Historia has to take charge because once he gets up on the wall, I'm thinking of the animation. The CG on his accordion body is really not that bad. At the time, in the year that this came out, I don't think any studio could have done it better. But I'm thinking of the animation on his face when he looks over the wall. It's just, Wit Studio struck gold. Not just with the manga, but the team that they assembled to tackle Attack on Titan. It was something that clearly we saw couldn't be replicated. I don't think MAPPA did a bad job, and I also don't blame them considering the circumstances around their acquisition of the final parts of Attack on Titan, the time skip. But I just don't think the moments hit as hard as they did with Wit Studio. It doesn't mean it's bad, but it just means that they were way more constrained, which they were. So this giant Titan looks over the wall. They fill his mouth with, I believe Eren stuffs TNT barrels into his mouth and he explodes, and his pieces go everywhere, and they have to find the shifter, quote unquote, the human piece where her father is, so they can kill him for good and make sure he can't regenerate and become this hulking Titan again, because they're not going to be able to deal with this again. If he is able to regenerate, the walls are done, because they're not going to be able to do this a second time. All the scouts fly over the wall and they attack the pieces, but they can't find the final piece. And then Historia is the one who finds the piece with her father's body in it and kills it, and she does it in front of everyone. And she looks badass. Like, this is Historia, Queen of the Walls. Not just Krista, not just a girl who joined the scouts. This is Historia. And it's the culmination of her arc through 3 whole seasons. And then at the end of that season, she is officially crowned as the Queen of the Walls. And she was crowned that way because the old king was fake. He literally would sit on his throne and he'd be asleep with his eyes open. And it was the people, the powerful people around him that would control it. And the reason they want Historia in charge is to avoid a military dictatorship. Literally, Pixis says if the counselors reacted a certain way to their fake out of the walls being attacked, that he would oppose the scouts, even if they were corrupt, which they are. If they defended humanity, he would stand with them. Pixis would stand with them against the scouts. He would not allow the scouts to take over and turn this into a military dictatorship. I don't think he uses the exact words military dictatorship, but that's what it would be if the scouts took over.
Had you shown that you actually gave a damn about protecting the people you govern, I would have stood by and watched as you sent Erwin to the gallows. Although I agree with Erwin on several points, I was still willing to put my trust in your government.
So they deposed the false king, and now they need a true queen, and that's why they put Historia in charge. And this is where the downfall truly begins for Historia Rising. Because from this moment on, from the moment she's crowned, it just goes downhill. And it goes downhill at an alarming speed, because that's where we leave off. The next season, of course, starts with Eren and Marley. It's a time skip forward, and then it goes backwards to show us what happened during the time skip. And during that time, Zeke approached the Islanders. He approached the Islanders wanting to join the side of Parody. And Historia was there, but the military just decides what to do, and she just kind of sits there and nods along and looks sad. And this is not the same character from season 3. It's just not. Like, what happened to her? And then they come to the decision that if Zeke tries anything, they're going to feed him to Historia. And Historia does not want this. That's why she gets pregnant. They don't know what will happen to the baby if she becomes a Titan. They're tempted to feed Zeke to her anyway. Fuck them kids. But they decide not to do that. The first half of season 3 was dedicated in finding a queen so they could avoid the military being in charge. And then what happens in season 4? That exact thing. It's like, what was the point of Historia becoming queen? Because from that point on, when she gets pregnant, Not a single decision is run by Historia. You would think her disappearing from the public would cause a much bigger stir because she's such a public figure at this point. But it doesn't. The people do not care. What was the point of season 3 showing us how the merchants work, showing us how the newspaper is controlled and they put out propaganda? What was the point of the scouts going to the son of a businessman that gets killed, and setting a trap to get people to admit to the propaganda? If this was how it was going to turn out. This is a Historia who decided to be confident because Ymir was always trying to build confidence in her. And then during the time skip, it's like she regressed. She regressed to her season 1 character because she doesn't have any opinion. I get that Historia would probably in that scenario not have absolute power, but at the same time, she is Queen of the Walls. She should have the final say. She should be the ones at the front making the decisions. She is the one who should have made the decision on Zeke. She is the one who should have made the decision on the wine. She is the one who should have been there, should have been staring Zeke in the face. But no, she turned back into meek little Krista. You can say that she left for the protection of her and her baby, because of her bloodline and because of who she is. But if that's the case, she should have never become Queen of the Walls. I think even if Eren told her the future, I don't think that would break her spirit, because that would be a disservice to Ymir.
Look at yourself, Krista, or whoever you are. You've been a victim all your life, and how do you get your revenge? By becoming your own victim.
That's why I say it's the downfall of Historia. And it's not even a downfall. It's a steep drop off of a cliff. If the military was going to lead everything anyway, they could have done it. After they deposed the king, they could have just taken over. I think the reason was that the people would not follow them. No one but her friends ask after her. No one really cares where she went. Attack on Titan was never that type of story where things just happen to happen. There was always a reason, there was always setup, but during the time skip and after that, things just happen. Historia doesn't start off as Krista because she wanted a quirky name. It's because she was hiding. She doesn't become a scout just because. Historia becomes a scout because she wants to throw away her own life. But because of Ymir, Ymir's always protecting her. Ymir doesn't let her do it because Ymir's been there. Ymir tried to throw away her life for the people that she thought were her people, even though they turned on her. Historia didn't not take the serum just because. She didn't take the serum because she was her own person. She was not just a pawn for her dad to use. She didn't become queen just because. I honestly think she became queen for Ymir, to live up to her expectation. She could have stayed a scout. She could have become a captain of the scouts probably by that point. I think she would have made a good captain.
Unlike you, I embrace the name I was born with. If I throw it away and reject who I am, then they win.
I don't see any possible way you could have gotten from the end of season 3 Historia to flashback Historia. I just can't think of a possible way that you get there naturally. I'm sure there's a way to make it so this is all taking a toll on Historia, but Historia was a scout. The things she's seen. At the point of season 4, Krista should be dead. Historia killed her. But no, she makes a reappearance to get pregnant and then open an orphanage. And that's the end of the story for Queen Historia. She should have more confidence. She should have the confidence that she earned at the end of her character arc. But instead, she just kind of bows to the decisions of everyone around her and disappears quietly. That entire mini flashback arc does such a disservice to the work of the previous season. It undoes so much of season 3. It's kind of insane. The last season made you care about random characters that you never thought you'd care about, like the business guy's son. He started as a nobody. Because he helped Hanji, he literally skyrocketed for me. I wouldn't say top 10 because there are a lot of scouts, but he definitely became higher than I ever expected him to, just from like 2 episodes worth of runtime. And yet in season 4, none of that matters anymore. I understand they have a bigger threat, but they always had a bigger threat. Like the Titans were the big threat, and then the Warriors were the bigger threat. And yet the story always made time for the world building, I guess. It made time for the little people, the businessmen, the media. And it's not something you notice is missing until it's gone. Like the least they can do is visit her in her orphanage and ask her opinion on the issues going on. They don't even do that. I think the only one who visits her, who on screen visits her, is Eren. But other than that, Historia has been erased from the story. Also, future me here. I recently saw the exact words on the panel where Historia and Eren are talking. And the idea that the military police could force Historia to be fed to Zeke it's kind of nonsense. Pixis was willing to stand up against the scouts, but you're telling me he would have just sat there and let the military police take Historia? The scout regiment would have just, all her friends would have just sat back and let them take Historia? There's no way, there is no way after season 3 that you can look at me and tell me with a straight face that the military police could do anything to Historia. They were afraid that there would be a civil war on the island, which there kind of was anyway, but at the same time, there is no way. There's just no way. I just wanted to say that. Okay, future me's done. See you later. She doesn't make a decision when the scouts come back. I mean, the scouts are the ones that decide to punish Eren, even though you would think he would be brought before the queen or something. What he did was egregious. He performed a whole covert operation by himself, above the scouts, above the military, above the queen. But no, the scouts just kind of take care of it on their own. And not really because he escapes, but there's no mention of hierarchy. Like there was in the earlier seasons, there's no mention of, hey, let's run this by Historia. No one even suggests it because she doesn't matter. I mean, Eren was representing parity, right? And so, to the Marleyans, parity just declared war on Marley. I know Marley did it first, but that is not how they see it. And you would think Eren starting a war, or parity being at war in general, would be something to consult the queen about. Nope. There's no build-up to it. Historia is she's just Krista again.
This is how you want your story to end, right? Of course, if you can make it look like you were trying to save his life, no one will be the wiser. He's a small price to pay, right? If you're a selfish bitch.
Hey, Eren's gone and made his own faction, basically trying to cause a civil war and take over, and then do their own plan. Historia? Anything to say? I just don't understand. Why couldn't Historia be pregnant and queen? It's like the author decided you must only be one. It's not even about Eren, it's not about the future. Ymir spent so long building her up, it's basically all she has left of Ymir. Why would she give that up? Why would she abandon that? It was basically Ymir's last request of her. Well, I think Ymir's last request of her actual last request was to live. At the end of season 3, we finally got Historia. And then in season 4, I guess Krista's what we deserve.
I intend to live my life. Make my name mean something. Trust me, there's no revenge in the world sweeter than that.
Why don't you come in, Historia? You need to take better care of yourself.
If you like my content, stick around. I got plenty of videos and somewhat of a schedule. The schedule is when I finish editing something. I hope you enjoyed my character analysis of Historia Rising. There might be more, there might not be. It depends on when the whim strikes me. I have no control over my brain. It's the pilot and I'm just sitting in the back seat.